All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how to convert a regular printed exit ticket into a digital one that your students can complete on Google Classroom using Google Slides in particular. So the first thing that you need is some sort of an exit ticket. I'm just going to use one of my templates because it's pretty easy to adapt those. So I'm just going to download it. There we go. So I'm downloading my exit slips, and then I'm going to pick one of the options. Oops, downloaded it twice, my bad. All right, so you're going to find the exit ticket that you want. I really like doing the error analysis one, so I'm going to scroll down until I find, I like this one. It's called What Went Wrong. So if you notice, when I scroll past, a lot of these are printed to a page. Some of them up above were even printed to a page. Clearly, we don't want the entire thing. We just want one exit ticket worth of text. So what you're going to do is zoom in as much as you can. Well, not literally as much as you can. Enough where you have a nice crisp view of just the space that you need. So the reason for this is the more that you zoom in, the better that it's going to look when we take a screenshot, which is what our next step is. So depending on what type of computer you have, it's going to work a little bit differently. I have a Windows laptop, so what you do for this is you go to the search bar and just type snip, and it should bring up the snipping tool. So you're going to click new, and then I'm going to move that off to the side, and you should see that there's a little crosshair. I'm just going to get it in one corner, and I'm going to drag it all the way over until I get essentially this nice half sheet of paper. So there we go. I took a screenshot of it, and I'm going to save it. So I'm going to call it Exit Slip What Went Wrong. Sorry, my computer is a little slow while I'm screen recording. Okay. All right, didn't like the question mark, so don't do that. Okay, so I can X out of that, and now I'm going to go to a fresh Google Slides. So when you open a fresh one, you'll notice that it's in this large widescreen format, which is perfect for when you're doing presentations, but it doesn't fit the same dimensions as our exit ticket. Right? Our exit ticket's a half size sheet of paper, so we're going to resize it to fit that. So I just deleted the text boxes on there because we don't need it. And I'm going to go to File, and then it's way down. Find Page Setup towards the bottom. And we're going to change it from the 16:9 aspect ratio to Custom. And if you think half of a sheet of paper, normally it's 8.5 by 11, but it's only half as tall now, so 8.5 by 5.5 inches. All right, so we've adjusted the slide so it's exactly the same dimensions as a half sheet of paper. I'm going to show you right now what not to do. So we need to insert that picture so students have it as a template to write over. And what your gut is going to tell you is wrong. So what you feel naturally inclined to do is do insert image. The reason that you don't want to do that is then your template is just going to be this loose, movable picture, and it's really easy for your students to delete it on accident. So what you're going to do instead is insert it as the background. So click that background button, find where it says image, choose image, and then you can browse, and it should be in my downloads, I believe is where I saved it, and I called it Exit Slip What Went Wrong. All right, so once you do that, you can click done, and you'll notice that it really nicely fills the space. So the next thing that we're going to do is insert places that your students can write. So you're going to do insert text box. And let's see, I should probably make it a little bit shorter than where the text instructions are. And so then I can do Control C, Control V, just copy and paste it so I have more text boxes. And if you want, you can put instructions first, then go back. So if I wanted to, I could put instructions, click here and delete text. Type your work here. Right? So that's what I can have students do. And then I'll actually go and copy and paste at this point. That way I don't have to rewrite the text instructions every single time. I'm going to do this for each of the boxes. All right, so we have the bones of the exit slip. Now we just need to give something for our students to actually work on. So I'm going to click Enter, and it's going to give us a new slide, and I'm just going to drag it up so it's the first thing that students see. So I'm going to write, a student made a mistake. Find it in their work. All right, so I'm going to make an example that's about slope. So problem, find the slope between the 2 points. I'm going to say -3, 9 and -2, -9. And then down here, I'm going to show their work. So in this problem, I would see two different paths that I see students making some mistakes. So the first thing is when they do -9 take away 9, right, is going to be a 0 by mistake, or are they actually going to get -18? And then, of course, we know that dreaded double negative, the -2 take away -3. So I'm going to include both as options on here. And actually, I want to make this a 6. This will turn out even cooler. All right, so I'm changing my problem. So I'm going to pretend to do some work. So the slope equals, so -9 take away 9 divided by -6 take away 3. So the mistake that I'm going to elicit is that they forgot the second negative. So then in their next step, when they start simplifying, that gives them -18 over -9, which becomes +2. All right, so if a student were to actually do this, right, they could identify and explain what went wrong. So we'd say, I'm going to duplicate it just so I don't goof over the template. They forgot to write, and it should have been, right, if we go back to the problem, -6 plus 3, right, the minus minus, as -6 plus 3. So then rework the problem. Okay, instead of redoing everything, they can just copy and paste. And then they can fix it. So this should have been a plus, which would have made this a -3, which would have turned this into a 6. All right, then the next step, helpful strategy, right? What could they put? Something to the effect of, make sure to be extra careful with subtracting negatives. Use parentheses around negative numbers, right? For whatever reason, when students use parentheses, it makes it a lot easier to recognize that there should have been 2 minuses. Then the last thing is, click here, delete the text. They're going to create a practice problem that should help a student practice that double negative mistake. So find the slope between, right? And I'm just going to make up 2 problems. I'm not going to work very hard to make sure that it turns out nice. And I'm going to make them all really negative, right? So then they'd have to really show that they can handle negatives in this problem because it's all negative. All right, now this is what a student would do. I'm going to delete it since that's not what we'd be giving them. So once you create text boxes over your template for students to put their work on, and you've given them a problem, you should title it. So I'm going to call it slope, exit, ticket. All right, so the next thing that you need to do is go to Google Classroom, and you don't want to post this on the stream. Go to the classwork tab. And if there's anything that you want your students to be turning into you, make it an assignment, right? If you want them to actively be doing something online, right? Not just like being able to reference, but you want them to be changing, interacting, make it an assignment. So I'm going to call this exit ticket. If you want to put instructions, you can. This one's pretty self-explanatory. So you're going to click add. And this time, instead of it being a file from your computer, it's actually a Google Drive file, right? We made a Google Slides file. So Google Drive. And it should be the most recent thing, which is really handy. So the most important thing that you need to do at this point is change where it says students can view file to make a copy for each student. This is the really important part. So make a copy for each student. All right, points. Maybe I just want to make it 3 points, or you could make it ungraded. You could add a due date if you want. Topic. I always like to make sure there's a topic. I'm going to call it slope, and then I can click assign. Now, my Google Classroom that I'm showing you right now is totally fake. There's no students in it, but you can see that there's this nice header that's called slope. So anything that I do with my students under this slope topic would go all under that header. And then this is the exit ticket that I made. So if you wrote instructions, it would be right in here. Students will click this, and when they do so, it will open up a copy of this. So it forces a copy. It even automatically puts their name on it, which is really nice. And they can make changes to their own personal copy, and you don't have to worry about accidentally having all of your students editing the same thing. And then they will turn it in here. So right now I don't have any students, so they both say 0. But let's say that I had 27 students in the class. When I first assign it, it's going to say 0 turned in, 27 assigned. And as students complete it, this number will start ticking up, and that number will start going down, right? And if you want, you can click on it, and it'll take you to see everyone who's done it, and you can quickly go through each of their submissions and see what they did. So that's just one example of how you can do so. I'm going to show you quickly another one that I've already created just to show you different style. The one that I'm doing to show you now is this error analysis. So it's a little bit different, where instead of correcting the error like we just did, it's really more asking students to analyze it. So I did a very similar problem, except I think I put a -9 there instead of a -6. And I set it up where in the first box, the students are finding the error. So I've reproduced the work here. And the instructions say drag and drop the arrow to where the mistake was made. So you could have the arrow chilling off on the side to begin with. And then the student just has to drag and drop, and they would put it right about there. Then step 2 says, what type of error do you think was made? Drag the yellow shape over the type of error that you think was made. So I'm going to drag the yellow shape. So I think it was careless, computational, precision, or mathematical. Personally, I think this was a precision mistake, right? They probably dropped the fact that there is an extra negative sign, and I could go ahead and write so right there. And then I've already created text boxes for these 3 spaces down below. So I could call this slope, error, analysis, exit slip. So if I was doing this for students, again, I probably wouldn't already have the things dragged to the correct positions, but I'd have everything ready to go. So there's an arrow ready for them to drag. There's a box ready for them. And then this blue text, I just added that in for extra instruction since it's not being done in a paper format. And so just showing you one more time on Google Classroom, you would go to the classwork tab. I would click create. If you want your students to do something with it, make it an assignment. You don't have to make it graded. So I can call this slope exit ticket number 2. Drag and drop the red arrow and the yellow box. Follow instructions in blue for more info. Okay, then to add it from your Google Drive, it should be the most recent thing. And this is the most important part to not forget. Change where it says students can view file to make a copy for each student. And now when I go to post it, maybe I want this one to be ungraded. Topic, it's still slope, so I have the slope topic already created. I can assign it. And then in a moment, I will be able to see, here is my new one. And again, students will click this, it will open up a personal copy made for them, and they will submit it here directly to Google Classroom. So this is how you can take a exit ticket that you already have, use, and love, and turn it into a digital format for your students to complete electronically. If you have questions, please let me know. Thanks.